I'll just run far as I can. They'll never catch me, you know.
How far did you get?
Kansas City.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I went to Kansas City and they found me. They bounty hunters jumped out on me.
Oh,
masks and guns.
Damn.
In the middle of the night too. I was getting some blunt shells at the gas station, and dude, they blew down on me. I thought I was getting robbed.
Millie makes songs, hey, I made this one. Jerry builds bikes and they go real fast. They're mental defectives.
Welcome to the Mental Defectives podcast, a show where we interview interesting individuals with a focus on addiction and mental health. I'm your host, Milligram. That's Millie if you know me, Mr. Graham if you owe me. Joined, as always, by the Haktua of Harleys, the gearhead of the Harley Gold. It's Mr. Jerry with a G.
Glad to be here, man. Glad to be here. Hold on.
Holding.
You should hit the like and subscribe button if you dig.
Like and subscribe. Mental Defectives podcast on all your social media platforms. Find us wherever you like to get your podcast. Because today we have a very special guest. He's got a clear coat of sobriety on his exterior and interior. Experience, strength, and hope is in the details with this guy. Please welcome Mr. Shane. Shane, how's it going?
Good. How's you doing?
Good, man. Appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah.
Shane, where are you from?
From Galveston, Texas.
Hell yeah.
Yep. On the Gulf.
I like it. And then do you recall your first drink?
Yeah, I think it was right around 13 or 14 years old. My first drink was Tanqueray. It was
classic.
Totally disgusting. But it was enough for me to get that out of body experience where I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta have more, and but I needed something that wasn't so nasty. So I think I got hooked on firewater.
What's that?
It's a liquor, but we used to set it on fire.
Hell yeah.
Pour it in a shot glass and set it on fire, and then blow it out and drink it, and it was extremely warm. And it would kick in. It's really high proof.
Like 151 or something?
I think it's not. No, I don't think it's that. I think it's right at 100. Might be just above 100, but yeah, way back in the early 90s. Yeah.
It seems like that's how, like, one of the first liquors I remember buying was like 151. Because we were like, it's so cheap and it's so strong. It's just like the economical thing for like a teenager. But it's so fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what I was thinking. About what age was that you started that?
Right around 14. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how did like your drinking move on from there? Were you like, was like the standard like drinking on the weekends, then like the weekdays, or smoking weed, or?
I was smoking weed and drinking all the time. It was just rarely worked if I did, and drank and smoked weed all day, and that was it. And getting in trouble, catching cases and shit, stealing people's shit, stealing cars and sound equipment, and just you name it. Just get a little bit of alcohol in me and just tell me to do something, and I would have did it. It was pretty wild.
And then this is in like high school?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what kind of like cases were you catching on?
Grand Theft Auto. I caught 2 Grand Theft Autos, and almost caught a arson.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was wild, dude. They were taking me to junkyards, and we were practicing peeling the locks on the doors and peeling the columns, and I got so good at it that I could peel the column with a seatbelt buckle in under a minute probably, and take the car. And it was just like, it was an adrenaline rush for me, but it also, I was using that skill, if you would, to kind of escape what I was going through, because I was being mentally and physically abused as a kid. So the addiction was far beyond drugs and alcohol. So
you're like Okay, so you're breaking into the car and then using the seatbelt clicker in the...
to peel the column and start the car.
That's crazy. How the fuck do you do that? It doesn't even like... I mean, don't explain to the people how to do that.
Back in the day, it was a lot easier because you had these simple columns that had... You pulled the lever, the wheel tilt down, and the columns, most of them were metal or hard plastic. So the belt buckle was just strong enough to put it in there and bust the column open.
Oh.
So now what are they doing? Like phone chargers and crazy shit.
Oh, wireless shit.
Yeah.
It wasn't that easy back then.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned like what was the stuff that was going on at home?
My dad had remarried, and he was always at work there for a long time. He did pave coating and stuff for like certified, and he was on the road, and then he started working at Buckeye Steel, and he was gone all the time, and then when he was around, he was drinking, and no, I was just arguing with my stepmom all the time, and my stepbrother and sister, and then getting beat with, the old school wooden boards. They would drill holes in them and crash me out with them. And,
Yep.
I mean, it was just I couldn't. That was so being locked in my room 24/7. Couldn't go outside. I started to find other ways to escape the abuse, and because whenever I would tell someone, they were like, "You're lying," whatever, so I was getting in trouble, and going to jail was an escape.
So that like the situation at home basically like funneled you more into like the streets, and like it's not so like out of pocket like to steal a car or something, because it's like, well, shit sucks at home.
Yeah, I could just go to jail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It was it was more justifiable for me to be in jail and defending myself than at home defending myself with a woman, because I wasn't. Even though I was abused a lot, I wasn't raised to beat on women, so I never really encountered that. And until my mom got a hold of my dad, my actual mom got a hold of my dad over me, and then I seen like, whoa, they were fighting, and that's really the only time I witnessed stuff like that. So.
What age was it that you were start catching these cases and like did your first bid at?
I think right around 11 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So just going in and out of juvenile, and then getting on probation, and then I would go on the run and run to my family's house, and because I was being abused, and I would tell them, and they knew what was going on. My whole entire family did, and then my dad and them would show up with cops and like, you're coming home. And I'm like, I'm not coming home. So then it was like, we're taking you to jail, and I don't think it was, back then it was, I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, so it was not like it is today. Today, if children's services or protective child services or whatever hears of anything like that, they're on top of it.
Yeah.
So.
And was this still in Texas at this point?
No, I had came here with my dad. They split up when I was around 8 or 9.
Okay.
I came here with my dad in Columbus for a while. We bounced around my whole childhood. Columbus and out of town, Asheville, Lockbourne, back to Columbus. So I was in all kind of different schools.
Oh yeah. Okay, so your high school stealing cars. What's the arson?
Burn a car.
Okay, that was gonna be my next question. So you steal the car and then we're taking it to a chop shop, or like
attempted to burn it down,
like an
so I want to
insurance?
get caught.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it didn't go well. Yeah.
So then where do we progress from here? If you're drinking, smoking weed, like in and out of jail in high school, stealing cars.
Started selling drugs. And cause I seen what everyone around me had, nice cars and bikes and, you know, jewelry and I think I grew up in the era like the movie Juice and Above the Rim and all that stuff. So it was like, kind of wanted to like sell crack and have a big gold chain, you know,
I want to be Bishop.
Wheels on my car, you know, and stuff like that. So I got attracted to that lifestyle and did that for a few years and run around with guns and just acting wild, doing what people are doing now, really. Just not as reckless, but pretty reckless. And then I just turned 18 and I got robbed, and they was like, you got to set an example out of this dude, because growing up I was bullied a lot, and so I was like, well, you know, maybe they're right. No. So it was either I set an example out of him or they set an example out of me. And you know what time it is then, so got to set an example out of you. So I did that and went to prison. So they hit me with some kidnapping charges and some armed robbery charges, and I went to jail, and I had a co-defendant at the time, and there was a couple people in the car, and they were just going. They were like, you know, that was uncalled for. Like, you didn't have to go that far. That was just stupid. Yeah. And the girl was like, I won't tell on you, and I was like, whatever, you know. And she told on the guy that was with me. She told on him, which was her boyfriend, and then he told on me, and then they had us downtown, and I was young, you know, so I wasn't that smart then, I guess, when it come to me doing stuff. And I told what happened, you know. They were like, tell us what happened. I told them what happened, and they was like, cool, turn around. He had already told, but he removed himself from the equation, you know.
Yeah.
And I told what really happened, and then I wound up going to prison.
Well, it's whoever snitches first tells the story for the prosecution. Like,
yeah, necessarily. Like I you know, he had already told him, but I told him, but I was honest with the whole situation, you know.
Yeah.
And then so we went to court and stuff, and I got a whole bunch of time, and he got probation. And then it wasn't even like, I think a year later he's going to prison because he violated probation.
Yeah.
Right.
He wound up doing almost as much time as I did. And it was just like, see, you know.
How much? What was the original sentence they gave you?
So they were you know, trying to scare me, and then so there was, you know, all these charges, man. It's 15, 20 years, you know, and all this stuff. So if you sign this paper, I had a public defender. I was young. If you sign this paper,
So you're 18 at this point.
Yeah.
And do your priors as a juvenile, they don't follow you into this case, do they?
Well, they were looking at it like you have been in and out of trouble, and they did a pre-sentence investigation and was like, this kid's been in trouble, and I'm pretty sure like that's why I got what I got. I didn't get probation, but they offered me probation, 5 years probation, and if I signed a paper, and I signed it, and then I went to sentencing, and they said, did anybody promise you anything? And the lawyer's like, don't say a word, you know. and me not knowing, I was like, no, you know. And it was like, cool. And they sentenced me to 4 years.
What happened to the 5 years probation?
Right. That's where I was just like, oh shit, you know. I was drunk.
Yeah.
You know, I'm almost 19 years old, and I get all this time. It seemed like 40 years to me.
Oh,
you know?
no doubt.
Fuck yeah.
And so Yeah.
Damn. Okay, so then what was that like first getting to prison?
Oh, it was wild. It was super crazy. I think I had been locked up for 9 or 10 months in the workhouse, which was crazy. Fighting and stuff. And then I was pretty much at the point where I just had to face the music. Like, okay, this is it. Like, I'm going to have to fight all the time, and it's going to be what it is. And I really wasn't that good at fighting either. And I was about $110. So,
oh yeah.
I went in and they put me in CRC, and I was in CRC with some childhood friends, and they were like, "Oh shit, what are you doing?" You know, we're exchanging stories, and they put me in my parent institution, which was Lancaster. And when I got down there, I wasn't there for a couple months. They had a riot break out between Cleveland and Columbus, and people were getting hit with locks and stabbed. And I was like, this shit's crazy right here.
Fucking A, man.
Like, here we go, dude.
Where were you at when the riot popped off?
I was right there in the middle of it.
Fuck.
And I was like, this is insane. And so they told me, they said, you're gonna have to pick a side and ride with them.
What the fuck?
You can't be by yourself in there. This is how it is. So I teamed up with some dudes I knew from Columbus and rode with them, man, and it was super wild.
The Mental Defectives podcast is brought to you by Milligram's new EP, More Is Always Better. 6 electrifying tracks available on all streaming platforms.
Did you know about the riot like in advance? Like, had the other people like planned it? Like, okay, like on this day at this time in this location, we're just gonna fucking...
No, it just popped off.
Oh,
it started out as a fight between two guys, and then they were fighting. One had a pillow and one had a belt with a lock on it.
A pillow?
Yeah, to block the lock.
Oh yeah, okay.
And he was doing pretty good too, because he could fight. And I seen
of all the things to grab to defend
well,
myself
I
with,
mean,
a
that's
pillow
what
is
you
not
got.
gonna be on that
Yeah,
level.
use
I was
what you
like,
got.
man. And them pillows in there are like plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the coating on them, so it's stopping it. And then I just seen him, like, you know, beating on dude, and dude hit him in the head with the lock, and he's bleeding everywhere. And he's like, picked the dude up with the lock and put him in the trash can, and like picked the trash can up, was smacking it off the floor, and I was like, this shit is crazy. I got to do this for 4 years, dude. You know? I went in under the old law, right? And then close to time to get released was the new law where you had PRC instead of parole. So my original sentence was 4 years flat time. And then so get close to getting out, it turned into PRC. So you get, after so much time, you automatically get a tail with PRC on it. Everyone does. Anything over a year, you get a tail with it.
And what's the tail?
So if you, anything over a year, you get 1 to 3 years PRC, which is post-release control. So it's basically like a parole.
Gotcha.
So, and if you violate that at any point, they can send you back for up to that amount of time.
Okay.
Yeah, so a 4-year case turned into a 7-year case real fast.
Shit.
Oh, it goes on at the end?
Yeah.
Bro, they got, so then basically they have you on paper till you're fucking 30.
Yeah, because I was young, you know, and I gained a bunch of weight and trained in there because they were boxing and stuff, and just got real good with my hands and gained a bunch of weight, and then I came out doing the same shit, like whatever, you know, whatever I need to do. If I need to sell some drugs, rob something, whatever. And I just didn't care after being in there for that amount of time. I was like, whatever. And I think I was out like 60 days and caught a parole violation and went on the run. And I was like, I'll just run as far as I can. They'll never catch me, you know.
How far did you get?
Kansas City.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I went to Kansas City and they found me. They bounty hunters jumped out on me with masks and guns.
Damn.
In the middle of the night too. I was getting some blunt shells at the gas station, and Dude, they blew down on me. I thought I was getting robbed.
Oh yeah.
And then after they drugged me out of the car, and I was like, oh shit, you know, I don't got much on me, you know. And the dude's laughing, and he's like, bro, you're going to jail.
Fuck.
And they pulled these chains out, had badges on them, and I was like, damn, man, you know. Fuck. And I told them too. I said, you know, they said we're gonna book you overnight out here, so someone in there got me hip to not signing an extradition. So they would have to come back to Columbus, get a governor's warrant to come and get me. So that took them a couple months because I denied it. I said, no, I ain't going.
What's that do for you, denying it?
Just bought me time and a 50% chance that if they don't want to sign off on it, then I wouldn't be allowed back in Ohio.
Oh.
Yeah. So I was like, let's take the chance.
Yeah, right.
Run that.
Take the chance.
Absolutely.
So it took them a couple months. I think they had up to 8 weeks. It took them like 7 weeks, and they showed up and they said, we got you, man. You know, we're gonna fly you back. And I had never been on a plane at that point. And I said, man, I can't fly. I'm scared of heights. You know? And they said, you're flying, buddy. And they had me cuffed. And when we got to the airport, they got me out of the car, and they took the handcuffs and everything off of me, and they put this belt around my waist underneath of my shirt. And I was like, what is this? And he said, this walkie-talkie is a transmitter for this belt. It has 40,000 volts of electricity in it. If you try to run, I'm going to hit this button, and you're going to go to sleep. That's what's going to happen.
Damn.
And I was like, oh, shit. It's like a real-life taser belt. You know?
Big-ass shock collar, dude.
That's like some fucking Suicide Squad
so
shit.
I told them, like, what's the chances you guys ain't taking me back to prison? And they said, nah, we had to come all the way here and get you, and it costs almost $4,000 to come and get you, go back, get an extradition, come back and get you again. So I went back and done the rest of my time. And it was just wrapped up in a whole bunch of chaos in the street and stuff.
Damn. Okay, so what was it like coming back to prison in Ohio?
The same thing.
Yeah.
Same
What was
shit.
like?
Same
What
thing.
was
'Cause
some?
that's where I originally was.
Yeah.
Right.
What was
Yeah.
some of the craziest shit you saw in there? I mean, outside of the riot, which is fucking nuts.
People getting stabbed in their sleep. Necessarily didn't see nobody ever get raped. Anybody that was messing around like that was voluntarily doing shit like that. And so it wasn't like the movies or nothing crazy like that. But there was crazy shit where they would wait on you to go to the store for commissary, and you'd be, you know, walking down the alley with your net bag full of commissary, and one guy would slice it with the razor blade, and the other two would jump you, and they'd be picking up all your shit, you know.
Damn,
fuck.
But I seen people get stabbed and stuff like that. So.
And was there? Because it seems like almost all the people we talked to that have done bids, like, it never interrupted their drinking and using.
No, I was still drinking in there.
Yeah.
They weren't necessarily like using anything. If you seen anything in there back then it was like weed. But I was in there drinking for sure. They was cooking the shit in trash bags, and I didn't know how to cook it, but I knew how to drink it. So we would be up on late nights drinking and fighting and trying to stay out of the way for the most part, but I really used that time to fuel my anger even more than what I already had, because the whole time all I did was work out with a group of guys and train and use like all of my past as an anger to fuel all of that. So then I was a walking weapon. Like after that, when I came home, it was like, if you was in my way, I was going to destroy you. And I didn't care about nobody. I didn't care about myself. I didn't care about nothing. I just cared about making fast money and being around women and having a little car, you know, and stuff like that. So
what? Okay, so when you got out, then what was the plan, or what were you doing?
When I got out, I was out for a little bit, linked up with a girl that I had been with a couple years previously to that, that had a kid, and I was like, yeah, this is the perfect opportunity for me. So like I can stop going to jail if I just like maybe I'll just marry her, you know, marry this woman, right? And get the house with the little fence and stuff, and live happily ever after. I had this, you know, dream or whatever it was. And but the problem was that I did that too. Like I settled down with her and stopped running with women and got married to her and was raising a kid, and but I was still doing the same shit. I was still selling drugs, and I still thought like I was Scarface. No one could touch me. Like I have this money, and I would just, you know, pay my way out of whatever. And growing up too, like I had kind of like a little leadway, I guess you want to say, maybe. Not necessarily a leadway. I had family that were in law enforcement, and they were, for the most part, they were trying to steer me in the right direction. But towards the end, they were just like, dude, you got to stop. Like, you have to stop doing what you're doing, or you're going to go to prison. And I just wouldn't. I just told them, like, you know, I'm not selling drugs. You know, I'm not getting high. I'm not doing none of this. Right. And
they know.
Yeah, they knew.
Like,
and, yeah. And he, the one guy told me too. He's like, man, like, he would always call me, like, stay out of there. Like I would go to my mom's, and then he would call the phone, and he would tell me, like, stay away from there. Don't go back there, and hang up. And I'm like, how in the fuck does he know that I was just over there? And then I didn't know for years, you know, but he was doing surveillance.
You were watching.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And by the time that I knew, it was way too late.
Oh, yeah.
Because
sure.
he was retired, and he
Yeah.
was like, I've been trying to help you. I can't help you no more. You're not helping yourself. I've been trying to get you to stay out of the way and stop doing what you're doing, and you're not. So I'm telling you right now, you need to stop doing whatever you're doing. And I was just like, whatever, man. And I think a few months passed after he told me that, and they was banging at my fucking door, dude. And I was like, oh, I ain't answering it, you know. And they was like, you know, we got a search warrant. And I just told my wife, like, shh, be quiet. Like, don't answer the door, and don't let them know we're in here. And they told me, you know, they said, we know you're in there, because all my cars were out there. And they said, we've been watching you. So you open the door. We got a search warrant. Finally, I opened the door up, and they gave me a search warrant, searched the house, didn't find anything. And they came back the next week, searched the house again. And this time they had a warrant to put trackers on the cars. And so they put GPSs on all the cars, and they said, you know, if you don't stop doing what you're doing, you're going to prison. So we're going to put these trackers on there. If you remove them, you're going to federal penitentiary.
Because you're still on parole or probation at this time.
At that time, yeah, I was still on probation, but I guess it's like illegal to remove a tracker if the feds or anybody, ATF or anybody puts a tracker. They got a court order, and they put a tracker on the car, and you remove it. It's federal offense.
But they got to tell you they're putting the tracker on.
They do, yeah.
That's
dude.
crazy.
Yeah. They did
nuts.
too. They gave me papers.
Is this ATF, FBI, or is this local law enforcement?
ATF, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what?
And I had friends. I was going around with friends still, and they were like, "Dude, you need to get the fuck out of here." Like,
Don't fucking
come back over.
Yeah,
don't get
like
that.
they knew I was hot, and they was trying to help me and stuff. And
Right.
I was just drinking 24/7, so I'd get mad at them.
Yeah.
You know, who the fuck you talking to? You know, and they're like, "Dude, we're serious, man. Like,
Yeah.
you're hot." And so eventually, like, I was strung out at that time too. Like at that point, I didn't have no drugs or nothing, you know, like the drugs that I was able to come up with to try to sell so I could get high too, without it costing me an arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Was not a lot, you know.
And what were you selling at this point? Is this like coke or dope
I
or pills?
started taking pills because I have Crohn's, and it was causing me a lot of pain. The doctor put me on prescription pills, and I started to like the effect, and I started abusing them. And I hadn't not done anything my whole life. I mean, like coke here and there, once a month or something, if that, and smoked weed a lot, but really no hardcore drugs as far as like opiates or nothing. And I started taking them, and I was taking them, and then I wasn't taking them because they figured it out that I was going out of state getting pills. I was getting pills here.
Yeah.
And they said, man, that's against the law. The doctor caught it and cut me off. He's like, you're on a federal watch, which I knew that by that time, but I just thought I was like untouchable or something. I don't know. So it progressed to couldn't get the pills no more. So then someone turned me on to tar heroin, and I started smoking it. And I think, man, like I smoked tar heroin for 8 months before I got a withdrawal.
Oh,
Like
wow.
I was smoking here and there and getting high on it, and it wasn't affecting me when I didn't have it. So like I had it, but I wasn't doing it, and it was like I could sell this shit, you know. And then that's where it took off at, where I was like selling this heroin and doing it, and then it progressed so far out that it staged out to like China. Then it staged out to carfentanil, which was looked like a gravel elephant tranquilizer.
Yeah.
So I got strung out on that, and it was the end of it, dude. That right there took me to the cleaners because at that time, like my wife was like, "You need to stop selling drugs. You need to stop getting high, or I'm gonna leave you." And she was cheating with someone, and I was like, yeah, what are you going to do? You know, you're going to leave and all this shit's mine. And my ego was bigger than me, you know. She wound up leaving me. She wound up getting me locked up to save my life. So I didn't overdose and die because I kept overdosing. She kept Narcaning me. So she gets me locked up, and then I'm in there fighting this case, and she comes and sees me, and she's like, I left. We don't have a house no more. Like, I moved away and with this man, and I was fucking irate. Dude,
Damn.
you know? But I was like, whatever, you know? So I'm in there fighting that case, and a lot of times that I would catch cases, man, it was like, I'd do the foxhole prayer. Like, you know, God, get me out of this and won't do it no more. And I would immediately do it again because I have no sense. I have no common sense.
Yeah.
Everything that I believed in was like all street value shit, you know, and some of it didn't even make any sense. Why I would believe in it? Because it's common sense and it's ass backwards.
Yeah.
You know, but the case wound up getting thrown out.
What was the charge? Was this a violation or this?
No, so I get locked up, and I'm in there, and I'm extremely sick, but I snuck drugs in with me so that I wouldn't be sick. And my PO told me, like, she dropped me a couple times and knew, like, that I had drugs. They fucking knew, and they were like, all right, here's the deal. Like, we're not letting you out till you drop clean. And then so at that point, I'm like, damn, now I got to withdraw here. This is going to be hell, you know?
And of carfentanil, like, that used to be like a mythical, like, back when I was out there, like, you would hear about it, but you're like, that's not a real fucking
I was snorting
thing,
that
like,
and snorting Xanax bars. And it was just insane. The withdrawal was insane. And I was so sick when I finally did drop clean and they let me out that I was in Tri-County jail. And when you get released, they want you to write on the paper. You know, they say, have you signed this paper? And they say, write where you're going so that we can notify that county. And I was so dope sick, dude, that I wrote the address I was trapping out of.
Oh my God.
And it's like, you know, I'm there. I get released 4 or 5 o'clock at night, and I'm there at this house, and I got drugs on me and shit. And the door comes down 3 o'clock in the morning. Door comes down. Boom.
Shit.
And I'm like, shit. And I just sat there because I knew what time it was, you know.
Yeah.
And they were like, get on the floor, and they found the drugs on me, and they was like, you got a warrant too for an indictment. And I was like, an indictment, dude? What the fuck, you know? Indictment for what? You know, I had been PVing and stuff like that, and catching little disorderly conducts and stuff like that. But I was like, an indictment? They was like, yeah, well, we're going to transport you to Madison County. So they transport me to the Madison County line on Hubbard Road, and they get the cop knew me, and he come out to get me. And I told him, I said, man, I got drugs on me. And he was like, we'll get them when we get to the jail. So get to Tri-County Jail, and they take me in there, and the deputy's like, you got anything on you I need to know about? I said, yeah, I had like almost an ounce of dope on me. And I said, yeah, I have this drugs on me. They left them when Columbus picked me up, they left them in my pocket. And I told the cop that just brought me here, and he said, we'll get them when they come in. They said, yeah, we'll get them, you know. And they hit me with a conveyance. And I was like, oh dude,
they drove you.
An F3 conveyance. I was like, this shit is wild. What's happening to me right now?
Bro, what? Okay, you are too honest with these attorneys and prosecutors and cops.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, and I was just like, damn, man, like, can I catch a fucking break? But, I mean, I didn't even know what a break looked like, you know, because I was so fucked up.
Right.
So I'm in there for a couple weeks, and the detectives come and see me, and they said, you know,
was this ATF again that kicked the door?
Yeah,
okay.
Columbus cops and ATF, and they said, we know we've been watching the house and all this, and I'm dumbfounded, like, how the fuck did you find me, you know?
Because you wrote the
fucking address.
And my PO's right there, like, bro, you're high as fuck right now. And I'm like, well, that's besides the point. But you know what I'm saying? Like, but she's like, you gave us the address. And I'm like, what the fuck I look like giving you the address, you know? But she was like, bro. And it was wild. So I'm in there for a couple weeks, and they detectives come see me, and they told me, they said, we have you on all these drug trafficking charges and weapons charges and conveyance charges. And if you just sign this paper and own up to the shit, we'll just get you on down the road. And I said, I'm not fucking doing that. What the fuck I look like, you know? And I said, I want to see the test results for the dope. And he's like showing me on an iPhone, right? And it's like color coded. And I wasn't born yesterday.
Yeah.
And it's like fucking sea green. And I'm like, bro, that's not. And he's like, oh, it just looks like that because of the phone. I was like, bro, you're not about to trick me. Like, at that point, like, I had almost 19 years in the system in between prison and county jails. I said, no, listen, man, we're not doing this shit. We're going to trial. And so I sat in there, and I would go to the bond hearing, go to preliminary, and I was going to these trial dates.
Is this with public defender again, or were you?
Yeah,
able
they
to...
had a public defender, court-appointed attorney, and I told the court-appointed attorney, because he tried to get me to cop out at 8.5 years, and I said, I'm not doing that. And he said, well, they're going to give you like 13 if you lose at trial. Like, you need to wisen up. You're strung out on drugs, you know, and all this. And I said, bro, I've been in here 6 months, and I haven't seen an indictment or nothing. Like, you think I was born fucking yesterday.
Right.
And I just told him, like, you know, just let's run it back to court. So we go back to court, and I tell the judge, like, I'm firing him. I want a new lawyer. And I don't feel like I'm being represented like I should. And he granted it to me and was like, you can get another lawyer. Got 60 days to get another lawyer. So I was in a hold, and found a lawyer out of Marysville, was an old APA officer, and was practicing law.
What's APA?
Parole board.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, and he was practicing law, and he came to see me, and I told him what was going on. Like, I've been in there this long, been to trial, and I haven't seen an indictment. They won't show me an indictment. They won't show me what I'm being charged with. They just want me to sign these papers. And he's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So he's like, give me some time, and I'll get with you. And in Tri-County, they got this pod in there. It's like 80 some guys in one tank. And they got a guard that sits at a desk inside the tank, because there's so many guys in there. And there's cameras everywhere and stuff. So the CO calls me up there. It's like, you got a legal call. Gives me the phone, and it's the lawyer. And he said, look, man, I'm pro bono. You're not going to have to pay for this, but So he's practicing, right? And he said, I'm pretty sure I got a little lead on something, so you're going to court in 2 weeks, and I'll see you there. And I said, all right. And I went in there, and he was laughing, and I was like, this shit's not funny, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, don't, just calm down. He said, just watch, just trust me on this. And and
you still don't even know what
I don't know what the fuck is going on. Yeah, and
that's crazy.
And he flips his paper over, and I looked at it, and it said motion to express state's evidence, and then he slid it over, and there was another packet that said motion to dismiss case, and I said, what the fuck? And he said, here's the deal. In the state of Ohio, they have 90 days to indict you. You have to sign that indictment. You cannot go to trial without an indictment.
Ooh.
So they just fucked it all up because somebody signed for that indictment and you didn't sign for it. I said, no, dude, I was locked up in here. When they indicted me, I was locked up in here. And he said, all right, we're going to do handwriting samples. So they did handwriting samples. It didn't match my handwriting. My wife's boyfriend at the time had signed the indictment trying to get me a warrant, trying to be funny, you know?
Damn, that's
really
fucking cold blood. I mean,
really
like,
looked out for me.
Yeah, but like,
but he was trying to be a snake.
Yeah,
know?
Right.
He's not. In retrospect, yes, like getting you away from drugs and alcohol, no matter what, ends up saving your life, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But like at the time, he's just like, fuck this motherfucker. Like,
Yeah,
that's dirty.
They did that, and they said you're going to retest the drugs, and the prosecutor was pissed. She's like, no, we have the results right here. He said, no, I want you to retest them because we need the results on paper from the lab, from BCI.
Oh, yeah.
And they did, and then and he told me, too, he said, when they retest this shit, it's a 50% chance it's going to come back inconclusive because they only keep so much out to keep they can't keep testing it during a trial, and they have already been testing it. So it came back inconclusive, no controlled substance, and they fucking dismissed the case, and the judge was like, release him as soon as he gets back to the jail.
Damn.
And I had been going to a meeting in there at the time, which I didn't know what it was, but I was going to get out of the pod.
Yeah.
And there was a pastor in there, and he ran a program, and he was like, you know, if anybody wants to go to treatment and stuff like that. So I asked for his number and called him when they released me, and I said, I don't have nowhere to go, you know, I'm strung out on drugs and alcohol, and he said, I'll come get you. And I stayed out there for a while, and it was kind of like faith-based treatment. So I didn't know anything about, you know, the programming or nothing. Just went to work, went to church, and stayed sober for a while, and then went right back out. Did the same shit over again. That just kept going for a few years. I did that, and until like the overdoses I moved to Arizona. I figured it out, right? I said, here's the deal. You know, I sat down with a buddy of mine. I said, I got it figured out. You know, it's not me. I'm not a problem, right? It's Columbus.
Yeah.
I've been running here my whole life, causing chaos, robbing shit, doing drugs, drinking, fist fighting, catching cases. If I just leave here, I'll be good, right? So we got a whole bunch of money together and moved to Arizona. And we were out there for pretty close to a year. And I got a job working with a multi-billionaire in the car game, detailing and doing handyman work and stuff like that, and was still drinking like a fish. Within that year, we drank our whole everything away, everything we owned away, and
no drugs.
No drugs.
That's impressive.
No drugs, dude. And
what's your drinking like? Okay, so if you're not doing drugs anymore, what's your drinking like at this point?
Oh, dude, it was unreal. Like just drinking like a fish.
Yeah.
It got so bad within that year that I was drinking more than I ever drank my whole life. And I was drinking every single day when I come home from work. And I would go to work the next day, and the boss was like, you know, let me take you to a meeting. Let me help you. And you should probably not drink. And I said, no, I think I just need to not drink so much. Right. or instead of drinking Jack Daniels, I'll just drink Hennessy.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Right.
you know, I think I know what I'm, you know, I know what I'm doing. I've been doing this forever, and it's not comprehending that it's not. I've been doing it forever, and it's not fucking working. Right?
Yeah.
So I worked.
You haven't
out,
tried every combination yet. You got to try every combination, move cities.
Yep. So I worked out there, and then I decided to come back, and I was like, you know, I'll just sell some drugs. And if I sell something I don't like or never done, I probably don't want to do it. So I was drinking, and then I got the bright idea to sell methamphetamine. And I'm like, I never done it. I won't do it. I don't know what it is, but it's selling fast and it's cheap. So I think within the first week of selling it, I was hiding in the closet, high as hell for 5 days, no sleep, you know, no sleep at all, gun in the closet with me. I'm seeing actual people home invading us. And it almost shot my own friend.
Oh,
and
damn.
and it's like, dude, like, and they're telling me like, dude, you need to like go to treatment. And I'm like, nah, that shit ain't for me, you know. I'll just leave him alone and I'll go stay over here, and then I won't do these drugs no more or sell them because he's the influence for this, right? I was just blaming everyone else around me for everything. Wound up going to stay with somebody and started dating this girl, and the whole time she was married. I had no clue. She was coming to see me. I wasn't going over there. I should have caught on, but by the time that I found that out, that she was married, and I was just emotionally unstable for sure, off my rocker, because I was getting high, and drinking all the time, and then I got the bright idea, like, I know what numbs this pain because I've done it before, right? I could just do some of this fentanyl, you know, and that's the point that. Where I was overdosing so many times in a short amount of days. I would overdose. I would use in 5 days. It was around 9 times in 5 days.
Oh, damn.
I would use and then I would fall out, and they would Narcan me, and I would wake up, and I would be extremely pissed because it would make me ill sick fast, super fast in a hurry.
Oh.
And it would make me real sick, and I just told, like, second or third time they done it at home on me, and I was like, dude, if you fucking do that shit again, I'm gonna beat your ass. and they're like, bro, you were dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You know, I didn't care, man.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be high, and I didn't want to feel this pain. So if it caused me to die, then it is what it is. You know, I'll fix them. You know, I'll hurt me.
Right.
That's just where I was. And then the last couple times that I overdosed, they had to call an ambulance because they were Narcan me, wasn't coming out of it. And then they would take me to the hospital, and I would leave the hospital. And the last time they sat there, the React team sat there with me, and I was in there having seizures, and I was on a pump because I wouldn't stay awake, and I kept falling out, waking up, and I was in there for a few days, and he said, can you hear me? And I said, yeah. And he said, we're going to take you to treatment. I was like, nah, I've been to treatment already 4 times, dude. Like, you know, and he's like, well, here's the deal. Like, I've Narcaned you so many times in a week that you have a decision that it can get you some help, or I can help you a different way. And I could take you to jail and book you for all the paraphernalia and drugs that were around you. And I'm pretty sure I could find a gun in the house. And I was like, fuck, man, like, back to prison, you know?
Yep.
And at that point, I had been in prison so long, I didn't want to go. And I was strung out, dude. The fear that was inside of me from being strung out and being locked up and withdrawing again was insane. So I was like, take me to Maryhaven, you know? Took me to Maryhaven, and I sat in there, and I was one of the first guys in the door when Mask opened on High Street. And they was using the Suboxone strips. They didn't know nothing about them. We didn't know nothing about them. They started dosing us 24 hours in, and rode my time out there 30 days, and they said you can go to a treatment, and everyone was like, you need to go to the House of Hope, you know. And I was hearing all these guys coming in, speaking, you know, telling their story, and And I was like, yeah, I probably need to go there, you know, because if it's working for these people, maybe, you know, it might work for me. And they dosed me with my last dose and sent me to House of Hope. And the CEO there found out, was like, oh, shit, you know, like this ain't going to go good. Because you're going to be
Because
real
now
sick.
you got to withdraw off
the
a
subs.
month of subs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So,
brutal.
yeah.
Yeah.
She told me to, like, if you get sick and you can't bear it, we can take you back to Maryhaven. And then you can come back when you detox the right way or however you feel comfortable. And my mind state, like being in core groups in there and stuff, it was insane. They were arguing and fighting, you know, and I'm gonna fuck you, I've got my home pass took. And it was just chaotic. And I was like, oh shit, this is worse than being on the street, you know, to me, because I was sick from the Suboxone and the drugs. I went to the office. I said, I gotta go. I'm leaving. And she said, let me help you go back to Maryhaven and redo the detox, and you could come back. And I said, nah, I don't want to use drugs no more. So I think I'm just gonna go home. And she's like, honey, you don't have the power to do that. Like you don't understand addiction right now. You don't have the power to stop using. And I was like, she's full of shit. You know, that's exactly what I thought. And I was like, this lady is full of shit, for sure. Like, I know what's best for me, right?
Yeah,
I've been doing it forever. I know what's best for me.
Just winds me up in a closet, you know, high on tweaking out with a gun.
In
and
prison,
It's so
you
crazy
know?
how like we can always think that, like, I always thought, like, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
And
I know what I'm
every
doing.
fucking time it ends up horribly wrong. Every
yeah.
fucking time.
Yeah.
And I can just like that, like, look at and be in treatment and like look directly at a counselor and be like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
Person with
Yeah.
10 plus years of
Yeah.
sobriety who's been doing this for like their
Yeah.
entire adult life. You're a dumbass.
Yeah, they're like, you're mad. I'm like, I'm not fucking mad. You know? Pissed, dude. Denying, I'm riding all the way out.
Right,
you know?
right.
But, so I was like, no, I'll just call a ride and they'll come get me. And then I'll just go home, you know. And she's like, are you hearing what you're saying right now? And I was like, man, I'm not trying to hear shit, you know. And I call a ride and they come get me and they got dope on them. And I mean, it's like a block and a half before the freeway. And I had an overdose before they hit that stop sign for the freeway because she had a loaded needle in the car.
oh, she was ready.
And
to
She
so,
was ready
boom,
for you.
I hit it. Boom, fell out. She
Yep.
pulled over, called an ambulance, and they Narcan me again.
Could you still see
and-
the house from where that was?
Not necessarily, because it's a when you get so far down,
I
it's
know
a
where you're-
one way.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
When you
Yep.
go all the way down Denison, and
Yep.
there's the
yeah.
freeway right there. So she called the ambulance and they Narcaned me and was like, "We'll take you to the hospital." I was like, "No, I don't. I just want to go home." And I go home, and she's like, "You can't use just 24 hours, and we'll get you some Suboxone, and we'll try to help you. We'll just feed you Suboxone." That was her answer. Like, we'll feed you Suboxone. And I'm like, that's a
Yeah.
great idea, you know. Before the 24 hours was up, she had to go run somewhere, and I knew she had dope. I knew it. So I was like, man, I'll wait it out. Like, I'm extremely sick, dude. Flipping out and shit, you know. And not wanting to take a shower, which that would have helped, but not wanting to. And I can't eat or drink anything because I'm so sick. And she left to go somewhere, and she forgot her purse here. But it didn't dawn on me. The dope was in her purse, but it didn't dawn on me that she was going to come back. So I like snuck in there, got in her purse, got the dope out, hurry up, boom, shot the dope up, died. Right there. Fell out right between the wall and the bed, died.
Damn.
And she come back for her purse. And
Oh,
found me,
shit.
Narcan me, drugged me out, Narcan me again, called 911, they come. I was coming in and out of it. They were Narcanning me in the bedroom floor, and I was coming in and out of it, and I really like wasn't coming all the way out of it. And they were like, dude, like, what the fuck? Took me back to the hospital. They were like, dude, we're taking you to Maryhaven. And I was cool with it. I was like, okay, let's do it. Like, I know what's coming, right? Go back to Maryhaven. And This time I'm telling them, like, I don't want to take Suboxone the whole time. Can we just, like, taper me down so that I can go to treatment? And did taper me down the first couple weeks I was in there. And then around 2.5 weeks after the taper, I had to go without nothing. And they was holding me. For one, I was waiting on a bed there. And then two, they were trying to make sure that I wasn't going to be sick. So they were like, I was just like, you know, after the taper, it was like nothing. So it was like 2.5 weeks of pure hell. Mood swings, throwing chairs, arguing with people, trying to fight. Like, and at the time, the one counselor that worked there worked at House of Hope. And she said, look, I need you to go to your room and not come out for the next week, or you're not going to House of Hope. Like, don't come out for nothing but to eat and to go to this meeting that they hold. If you do, and you while out one more time, we're discharging you. So then I was in my room isolating, right? And I come up with a bright idea. I could just go to Sally. I go to Salvation Army. And then I could take Suboxone there, right? Because I needed something, because I didn't want to withdraw, right? And they said, we want you to go to group and tell your peers that. And I said, that's cool. That's a good idea. Right? I'll tell them shit. And I go in there and tell them, and they're like, everyone's like, what the fuck did you just say? Like, you're a dumbass, you know, and all. And I'm hearing this, and I'm like, damn. Like, somebody's actually, like, telling me that this shit's a bad idea. So I might want to listen. So went to House of Hope and stayed there and worked on everything that I needed to work on. I think I was going against the grain there for a few months. I was in the anger denial.
Oh, yeah.
My counselor was, you know, you're mad right now. You got anger issues. I'm like, no, the fuck I don't. You know, super mad, throwing my books down, you know, veins popping out my head. And it's like, they're like, dude, you don't. So finally he was to the point where he was like, just get your shit and get the fuck out. How about that? Like, let's just do that, because I'm just tired. Like, I'm not doing this shit no more. We're not. I'm trying to get you to do this work, and you're not wanting to do it. So the room sat quiet for 5 minutes, and he said, what are you going to do? And I said, man, I don't know what to do. And he said, finally, you don't have the answer. So, you know, they gave me some stuff to do, and I started doing it, and I started seeing the change in my behaviors and who I was. And I started to keep doing the work. Graduated there, went to sober living, and got a job detailing at the auto auction. Was there almost 2 years and got the bright idea, like, you know, I only drank for 25 years, you know, so used drugs for 5 or 6 years, but so I'm a drug addict, right? I'm probably not an alcoholic though.
Yeah, sure.
Probably
Like, and I'm telling my sponsor this, and he's like, dude, you're full of shit. And I'm beating his eardrums up for probably 3 weeks. And he's like, you know what? Just fucking go drink and let's just see what happens. And that's what I did. I drank. And that's what I would drink. Drank on the first weekend, didn't drink during the week. Went to work. Drank the next weekend, didn't drink. And I was like, aha, told you. I know this. You know, I know what's best for me. I got this shit. And that third week, I was fucking binge drinking. I'm drinking at work, detailing cars.
Yeah.
My boss is in recovery. And he's like, dude, you got to knock it off. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what are you talking about? You know? And he's like, dude, you got to stop. I'm going to have to fire you. And I drank probably for 2 months, man, and went out one night and got insane drunk and on New Year's of 2020 and got in a bar fight on the south side and drove home. I don't even know how, but drove home a couple miles, crashed my car right when I got to my house. Crashed into my neighbor's car, right? They're having a party. It's 100 people over there, at least 50 to 100 people. And I get out of the car, I can't even hardly stand up, and I'm yelling and cussing, and they don't speak English. They're all Spanish, and they're yelling and cussing, and I don't understand them. They don't understand me. And dude pops me in my shit. because he thinks like we're fighting or something. I don't know what he thought, but I don't even know what I thought. I was drunk.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
and they're
I
probably
was
drinking over
blacking
there
out.
too.
I don't
and,
even know
like,
how I got home, but
yeah.
we started fighting, and then I let my dog out. I had a 200-pound Presa Canario Spanish Mastiff,
Oh wow.
and he come barreling out of the house and was trying to eat people, and dude pulls a gun out, and I'm just like, okay.
Hey, Mental Defectives.
Would you like to advertise on our podcast?
If so, email us at mentaldefectivespodcast@gmail.com.
So we can help you make a lot of money.
A whole lot of money.
And I would have been doing life right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I would have killed a whole bunch of people just because I was drunk and pissed off, you know? So they was, you know, I called and called my sponsor, got back into the program, made a call to the COO at House of Hope and was like, I need to go back to sober living. I need help because I'm drinking again. It's chaotic. I just almost caught a big ass charge. I could have just killed somebody drinking. And he's like, you have to drop clean for 30 days and I'll let you come back. And I was like, cool, no problem, right? But the problem was that I was living with a woman that was a binge drinker. So I called him one night and I had been drinking and he's like, you're fucking drinking again? And I said, dude, I can't. He said, this living situation that you have going on right now is super toxic. You're going to have to leave there and you're going to have to go somewhere safe for 30 days, drop clean a couple times a week, and then I'll let you come back. And I did. And I went back and ignored what people were saying. They're like, you should feel bad because you had your own house and you have to go back to sober living. And I was like, fuck all that. I know what self-pity got me last time, and I'm not doing that. So I stayed away from it. I own the shit, dude. It is what it is. It's my fault. I made a clear, conscious decision to drink, and these are the results. So I know I don't need to do that again. And became a house manager at the sober house and stayed there for 2.5 years and then got my own place. And I never looked back after that. So January 5th be 5 years.
Hell yeah.
Fuck
So it's
yeah.
like,
Congrats, dude.
yeah,
Fuck
it's
yeah.
like,
That's
dude,
sick.
a lot of times I was in situations where it could have cost me 10, 20 years in prison. And it's like, I would get out of it somehow, right? And be like, watch this, you know, I won't do it no more, you know? And then not even conscious decisions. I would just do it because I was used to it. And it was like a behavior for me. It wasn't like, I'll go rob such and such or I'll do this and that. And then, you know, people were like, you're going to go to jail if you get caught. And I'm like, bro, what? So what? I've been to jail so many times.
Yeah.
And they're like, or don't rob him because he'll do something to you. And I'm like, what? Who the fuck is he? Fuck him. Watch this. You know, I was like, I don't know what I thought I was, like a fucking transformer or something. Like I was untouchable, bro. It was the alcohol and drugs is what it was.
No.
And I had the heart to fight and the skill to fight.
Yeah.
And I put all that together and shook it up in a bottle and it was a wrap, dude. Anything in my way, if I wanted it, I was taking it. And it got so bad to where my own friends didn't want to be around me because they couldn't trust me. Because they didn't know when I was going to just take off on somebody and beat them up and rob them or what I was going to do. So it got, the end right there got real bad, real by myself, you know. In treatment, I kind of listened to what they were saying about like, don't call, make no amends to no family members. Don't, you know, do any of that shit. Just keep doing what you're doing and these people will see what you're doing. And that's what happened too. They watched me for a couple of years and seen what I was doing, and friends started letting me come back around. I started meeting new friends that were super solid that are like family to me now. Family was coming back around, and then I had to kind of like figure out where my peace was going to be at and how to handle the peace situation. So if I got to the point where it was kind of like militant. Seriously, it was like, if you were affecting my peace at any cost, I was cutting you off. I didn't care if I was around you for 15 years, 5 years, 1 month. And then I had to start looking at that because I'm like, man, I had to start looking at this shit because I'm widowed, I'm by myself, I'm not dating anyone. And maybe this is why, right? Because it's like, you know, I expect you to be like me and to act like me and do what I'm doing, or you can't fucking be around me.
Yeah.
You know, who the fuck am I? Right? Maybe I should give somebody a chance to be themselves, and then I can weigh that out. Like, do I want this person around me? Is this workable? Is this not workable?
Yeah.
So, I've been doing that lately. It's working out a lot better. So
Hell yeah. And then where did the detailing business come in?
I've been detailing off and on since I was young, and then really like being taught when I was in Arizona. I was working for that multi-billionaire, Wes Rydell, and he is a big friend of Chip Foose's.
Oh,
and they
shit.
own all the toy barns and
Oh,
like
yeah,
okay.
150 GM dealerships across the United States. And he's like an auto recovery. You know how they go in like bar rescue?
Yeah,
He
yeah,
does
yeah.
the car lot rescue deal.
Yeah.
So that's how he acquired and that's how he started, was a detailer.
Oh.
And then so that's what he done, and cleaning cars and learning what to do, what to use, how to do it. It just kind of like mastered my own technique from what I was taught. And then when I started doing it, I branched from the auction and started doing it for myself. And it was kind of like trial and error, because it was like, I'm just going to buy this shit, all this stuff off the counter, right? And it would not go good. And I'm like, dude, I see my skill with chemicals, commercial chemicals. Why is this not working? And it was because the chemicals that I were using, you know. So then I had to figure out what to order, what to buy, what to mix, how to mix it, and then go from there. And I just got really good at it. And it's a passion for me. Cars always been a passion since I was a kid. When I can make money doing it, I do.
What's the name of the company?
So what I do is I detail out of a buddy's garage, Fat Boy Customs, and they do mechanic work, motor builds, you name it with cars. They master in also in car audio installs for like competitions.
Oh, cool.
Building lithium banks and shit to run the audio with and all that stuff. And I didn't really know a lot when I started hanging out with him. And he was like, you know, if you need a spot to detail in on, you know, here and there, whatever, just cut me in on it so we could pay the electric for the shop. And I started doing that, and I just got real good friends with him. And then he started showing me things that I should know, so I didn't have to pay people to keep working on my cars. I could do it myself.
Yeah.
I didn't know where to get parts, but he knows where to get parts at for a discount, or who to get parts from. And then started teaching me how to process what's wrong with the car, like why is it doing that, what's wrong with it, and eliminating down to, oh, this is what it is. Get online, order the part. You don't know how to put it on. Okay, cool. They got videos for that. Let's watch it. Put it on the screen in the garage. We're watching the videos and stuff, and fixing the cars. And I've been working on cars, learn how to paint, learn how to work on cars, learn how to do audio to an extent, and mastered detail and knocked it out the park.
I was going to say, going through your
Yeah.
pages. All right, so for people watching and listening, I want to, if they want to get their car detailed by you, how do they do that?
You can contact me on social media. Shane Michael. I don't have an Instagram. I have a Facebook, Shane Michael. Or you can contact somebody that probably knows who I am. LNS Automotive, when they look that up, that's my brother's number, and my brother's link to his body shop, and and I do work through him sometimes. And then the buddy that I do a lot of the work with, James Fott. So any of them guys on social media can link to me.
And we'll drop a link to yours on there too. And then Shane, what advice would you have for somebody looking to get into like detailing or mechanics or like car audio, any of that kind of stuff?
I tell a lot of guys all the time, because they got a window where you have your license and treatment, and you can only be so you can't have no personal contact with clients that graduate for up to 2 years, sometimes social workers 5 years. And a lot of clients are graduating, they're like, man, I need my car fixed, or I need to know how to put this radio in. Yeah. And I tell them, like, okay, I can help you. I can't physically help you, but I can show you how I learned. And it's easy as looking it up on YouTube. It's all about how you look stuff up. You can look something up 5 different ways on YouTube. It might not find it. And you look it up a different way and find the answer right there. And then someone's got a video on it, doing it and walking you through it. And then I was real good at picking up detail, looking at stuff, figuring out, okay, that's exactly what that is. That's where that is. So doing the research, if I couldn't figure it out, I'd jump on Google and look up a forum. And people were talking about I'm Googling the problem, then I'm going through, and there's forums, and you click on them, and they take you into these forums, and guys are talking about they had the same problem. This is what they did, and this is what it is causing it. And it's a lot really about troubleshooting, figuring out what the problem is, troubleshooting it, and then trying to find a video on how to fix it. And it's like, to me, anyways, it's like Legos, dude. As soon as I see it, I'm like, if I see it, I can do it. And my buddy knew that. So, and then that's how he showed me how to work on cars. Because if I could see it being done, I could do it. And if I was doing it wrong, he was right there watching me like, hold on. That's not the right tool. And this is why,
Hell yeah. That's how we put this whole shit show together. It's just fucking YouTube tutorial after YouTube tutorial. Right. And it's, I like you mentioned too, like knowing the question to ask. Because sometimes it's like, I'm trying to do something with like editing or cameras. Like, I don't even know what the fucking question I need to be asking is. So you have to like reword it 10 times. Exactly. And you finally hit on it. You're like, oh, now I know.
Yeah. How the fuck do you think I'm building a motorcycle? YouTube.
I don't do none of that. I just call Jared.
But no, like the forums and everything.
We haven't seen him like build the bike, so I think it's his girlfriend building it. But
I just take the videos and the pictures. She's doing it in the background.
She's a social media guy. Jen is the one in the garage.
Yeah, I'm seeing videos. This is what I just done right here.
Hell yeah. Oh shit. Oh, Shane, what advice would you give somebody like new in sobriety or in recovery?
It's really like cliche, but when they say keep coming back, they meant it exactly like that. Like whether it works or not, you keep coming right back immediately, and then it begins to work eventually, because you figure out what you're not doing right and what you need to be doing, and then that'll change it. And I told my buddy when I first started, so I ran with the guy in the rooms for 20 years before I got sober. He got sober before me, and I told him, I said, man, I can fucking stand coming here. And he's like, why? I said, because these people are not like me. They're soft, they're cornballs, look how they dress. Look at this fucking guy right here. I'm nothing like these people. And he's like, bro, you're delusional as fuck. You are exactly like these people. Exactly like them. So he said, listen when I say this. Keep coming back until you like coming. And I was like, then what? He said, you'll see. And now it's not like a chore for me to work a program. Yeah. It's not like mentally draining or not. It's like people get a rush out of going to eat or going to a bar. I get that same rush of going to help the next person or show them that I'm still doing what I was taught. And let me teach you how. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, Shane, thank you so much for coming on tonight. We appreciate it. Last thing before we get out of here, you were telling me that Sam Donald is the worst musician of all time. What do you mean by that?
No.
It's the
Sam
Mental
Donald's
Defectives
a
podcast.
badass.
It's Milligram, Jerry with the G, Shane. Message him. We'll drop the link. Get your card detail. We'll see you next time. Peace.